Hey everybody, today it's the final wrap-up video of the series. This is the day on Friday called Capital Connect. It's just 3 hours of kind of what's behind the numbers in the business. And then Brad has his regular town hall meeting, kind of a wrap-up of the entire conference to see what went right and what went wrong. I really like this final day. In fact, if you're coming to an Inman Connect event for the first time, schedule that flight later on a Friday. Make sure you stick around and see what these people are talking about. This is all the money that's behind what's happening in the real estate space. We have Carlton from Barron's, and you have Merritt from Bain Capital doing the moderating, talking to people that are heavily involved in what's happening in this we'll say the disruptors, but this venture capital world of real estate. One of the sessions was Compass and Knock on stage, and they're talking about how they're helping people basically trade in their house to get their new home without having to sell their house first. I mean, that's really amazing. Knock's been doing it for a while. Think about this. If they look at your situation, they realize that your house can sell, they'll go pay cash for the house you want to buy, and then they'll let you move into that new house, and then they'll sell the old house. What Compass is doing is a little different. They rolled this out in October, and they're actually creating a bridge loan program with a couple of lenders nationally that know how to do this well. And they're actually funding part of the bridge loan process to make it easy for that seller to sell and buy their new home. Adina Heffitz from Divi was on stage talking about their product, which basically helps you put together the down payment for a home without having to come up with the cash up front. What Divi does is they'll purchase the house for you, and then you will then become a tenant and rent the house. However, a percentage of your payment each month over the first 3 years goes to creating that down payment that then allows you to finance and purchase the property. Adina laid out some pretty interesting numbers, right? Since the 90s, home values across the country have appreciated 120%, yet income is only up about 10%. So trying to scrape together a 10 or 15 or 20% down payment isn't as easy as it used to be. In fact, it's much more difficult with less disposable income. Trying to save that money when you don't have as much coming in to get to this bigger number of a down payment is just really tough to do. This is what they're solving for. We also had on stage the CEO of Unsyn, and they're talking about bringing what's already happening in the commercial world all the time, and that's doing, we got debt financing and equity financing together to help purchase the property. So it's a shared equity situation. Imagine if you can only put 5% down, and Unsyn comes in and says, looks at the numbers and likes the situation. They go, we'll put the other 15% down, but then we're going to have ownership in the property when you do decide to sell it. Some of the benefits are that 1, no PMI, and 2, you can have a much lower monthly payment. But obviously, you're giving up part of that equity at the end. The moderator did ask, is there some drop dead date where you have to pay it all back? And he said, no, it's 30 years. If it's a 30-year mortgage, then you can just share the equity percentage back to Unsyn in 30 years or when you sell the property. Another panel was called Integrated Services, the Pot of Gold. And it was talking about companies, brokerages, bringing in all the ancillary providers, like having their own mortgage company, their own title company, other services that they can bundle together to create another revenue stream. And there were kind of pros and cons on both sides of that argument. I found Drew Uhr, once again, of HomeLight to have the best statement, because one of the things that the proponents of these integrated services say is that you can have a much speedier closing and things can happen much quicker. And his response was, I don't know for exactly how much faster, how speedier people want the transaction. I mean, it is a huge transaction, so it might not be the speed, but maybe if we thought about that in terms of maybe a better certainty of the deal closing, that's another way to look at it. And Sean Black, one of the co-founders of Knock, his response was pretty straightforward. He said, look, I don't think agents should be worried at all about anything else but knowing their market and taking care of people, right? And that perhaps they should stay away from things they're not trained for, like marketing, like heavy-duty marketing or real sophisticated lead generation. Stick with what you know. And Sean, that's kind of been his take all along with Knock. So that wraps up the session on Friday. And really, I just wanted to throw one other thing out there. If you've never been to an Inman Connect event, please, if you're going to come for the first time, reach out and hit me up, and I will help you with some things you need to know, some strategies to make the most of it, because not all of the good stuff that happens at Inman happens on the main stage or in all the breakouts that are all over the place during the week. You may have heard the phrase LobbyCon before, and that's really where some of the magic happens. Making a loop through the lobby and through the lobby bar just to see who's out there, who's talking to who, and maybe just finding an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody that you've wanted to talk to for a while. It happens all the time. And it's not just the lobby. It could be out at an event, or it could be a lunch or a dinner where you're with a group of people and you get to talk to that person who's experiencing the same, opportunities or situations that you are, where you start sharing ideas. And I see it happen all the time where somebody hears what somebody else is doing in another market, they embrace it and have success. So the next event's coming up in July, and it's going to be in Las Vegas, ICLV 20. Take a look at it. Go to Inman.com. There's some great pricing for it now. I think it's $700 or $800 for the entire package. Really a great price because it's going to start going up pretty much every month. And I will be there, and if you're coming for the first time, please hit me up. If you would like to get more information from Inman Connect New York 2020, reach out to your Fidelity sales executive. Tell them you want Bill to come in and talk about some of the things that I picked up and some of the topics that were covered, some of the hot topics. And we can do that with your brokerage, your board, maybe it's WCR, whatever groups you have. I'd be happy to come in and have a conversation about what I learned at Inman Connect New York 2020. So thank you so much for tuning into this series of videos. They're a lot longer than I normally do them, but I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.